Today we're going to be talking about braking and spinning. Now the operation of the tools is exactly the same whether you're making yourself a new loop or repairing a pre-existing loop. The tools that we're going to be using are a spinner. Now the spinner comes with an A take-up handle, an A spinner anvil, and a B take-up handle and a B spinner anvil. In our particular case, we're only going to be working with the A spinner and A take-up handle. The breaker comes with one punch and a multiple location breaker bar. As an accessory, you have a multiple position adjustable breaker bar. We always recommend that when you're breaking chain, you wear safety glasses. And if you're taking out a broken cutter or a damaged cutter, you want to take out what we call a butterfly. A butterfly simply means that you break out the drive links in front of and behind the cutter, and you replace it with a butterfly from a reel of chain of the same type and gauge. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. I'm going to put my safety glasses on and we'll break out that butterfly. We have our breaker bar on our loop of chain. Break out the tie strap in front of the cutter we're replacing, making sure to center the rivet on the punch. If the punch is not centered, you could damage tie straps, drive links, or even the punch. Once it's centered, go ahead and push it through and punch that rivet out. Now move it to the next rivet. Once you have that preset and tie strap removed, go ahead and remove the next one behind the cutter you're replacing. Now you have your butterfly removed. When you're replacing the butterfly off of a new reel of chain, make sure you take a butterfly that is the same hand as the one you took off. In our particular example, we removed a left-hand cutter. So our left-hand cutter on our reel of chain is this first one in line. If yours happens to be a right-hand cutter, you would need to take off the left-hand cutter behind it. I'm going to have to flip my reel of chain over. Punch out those rivets just like you did for your butterfly originally. And now you have your replacement butterfly with cutter. So now let's spin this loop back together. When you're putting your chain back together, there are several things you want to make sure of. You want to make sure that the parts you're using to join the chain back together are the same pitch and the same gauge. You also want to make sure that the orientation of the parts are correct. On the tie straps, there's a cutout on the bottom. This goes in the same direction as the drive link tang on the drive links. They also there's three ways that the outside of the tie strap can be identified. It can be identified with a small dot like this. It can be identified with a straight line, or it could be identified with the Oregon logo. Any one of those three need to be facing out when you put your chain together. I'm going to take my preset and attach my butterfly to my preset. I'm then going to take my length of chain and attach it to my preset. I am then going to take my tie strap and place it over those two rivets. And with one hand I can hold that joint together and place it inside the spinner. I'm going to put my first rivet that I want to crush down on the spinner anvil, and then I'm going to get my take-up handle in just until it makes contact with my chain chassis. At that point, I can pretty much let go of my chain, and as long as nobody comes around and bumps the table or messes with anything, it'll just sit there. Now what I want to do is I want to apply pressure on the take-up handle while spinning the spinner anvil. It's a good practice that you don't crush your first rivet all the way down to begin with. You crush it part of the way, which will hold the joint together. Then you move it to your unspun side. What this allows you to do is crush it progressively so that your drive link does not get stuck and jammed in the rivet before you have a chance to completely crush it. So I've got my second rivet in place. I'm going to apply some pressure with the take-up handle, and I'm going to spin that rivet down. And as I'm spinning it, I'm applying more pressure to the take-up handle, and I'm spinning the rivet, and I'm taking pressure, and I'm spinning the rivet. Now I'm going to stop, and I'm going to check that second rivet. What you want to see is what we call the rule of thumb. Basically means you can't fit a fingernail underneath the head of that rivet. Your fingernail won't catch on it. As you can see there, right there, there's a little bit of a catch for my fingernail, so that needs to be spun down just a little bit more. Okay, that's crushed down. I can't get a fingernail underneath it. That's a good spun joint. Now when you get done spinning your joint, you're going to notice that there may be a little deformation around the outside edges of that rivet. That's okay. That's not going to hurt anything. Now I'm going to go back to my first rivet, and I'm going to finish spinning that. I'm going to check to see if I can get a fingernail underneath it, and I can't. So that one's done and in good condition. So now I'm going to pick my loop up. I'm going to take my second preset and tie strap. I'm going to put my drive links over it, set my tie strap in place. And then I'm going to set all that back in my spinner. Now, on a repair job, we're just looking at those 4 rivets to spin down. If you're mass producing chains and you're moving fast and you're trying to get everything done as quick as you can for your customers, it would pay dividends to set up your spinner such that these little plastic wheels are concentric, so they'll move up and down. So adjust yours such that your chain sits basically flat from left to right side. That will help you align the rivets with the spinner and take-up handle. So I'm going to spin that rivet down a little bit, just enough to keep that joint together. I'm going to move it to my other rivet, and I'm going to crush this one completely down. I'm going to check it. That one's good. I'm going to finish the first rivet that I started. I'm going to check that one. That one's good. Once you've got all your link joined together, you're also going to want to check for joint articulation. You can see that the first joint I spun together articulates really nicely, and that my second joint articulates really nicely. Now your chain's ready to go back to work. An important note, when spinning chain, never reuse components that you've broken out of a loop of chain. Always use new components from the manufacturer of the chain that you are putting back together. For more information and other instructional videos, please go to OregonProducts.com.